I'm sorry to come here and break it to you guys, right? Like, you already see the title of this video, and I'm here to tell you the straight reality of the situation. Firstly, I need to bring up, this is Jude Bellingham and Phil Foden. These are probably the two most like on form English players currently right now, right? Obviously the likes of Saka and Declan Rice and everything like that. But all eyes are probably on these two players right here when it comes to Phil Foden and Jude Bellingham. These are the two players who are just looking like they're going to be the best in their positions for the next years to come, right? Now, I think there's very fine margins that separate them for this particular current season, right? Because already, if I have to look at numbers, obviously, football is not just about numbers. But if you had to look at the numbers between the two players, you look at it, I think Jude Bellingham is like 29 goal contributions and then Phil Foden has 28, right? Like, these are just fine margins of separating these two players in terms of just numbers alone. And then you look at their performances, the moments they've had for both of their clubs already. It's insane. It's insane what they're doing this season. But I'm sorry to break it to you guys, but I'm here to tell you that me personally, how I'm looking at it, I think Phil Foden is still a much better player than Jude Bellingham. I think Phil Foden is a better footballer than Jude Bellingham. Now, I know what everyone's gonna say. They're gonna be like, "What are you seeing? This is Jude Bellingham. Look what he's doing for Realmadrid." And like, I understand that. I do get that because, like I said, the last person who had a season like this on their debut season for Real Madrid is Cristiano Ronaldo, and that's insane. That's a huge compliment to Jude Bellingham because, firstly, obviously we know who Cristiano Ronaldo is. He is one of the GOATs, one of the greatest players of all time to have ever done it, right? And for him to be now comparing him to someone, for me to be comparing to someone like Cristiano Ronaldo, that's a huge compliment to Jude Bellingham, and it's showing the levels that he's performing at. But I'm particularly thinking that Phil Foden is performing at a very similar level this season, and if not even more, because don't get me wrong, Jude Bellingham is an amazing player. He is a brilliant player, and to be honest, he is a lot more than the player I thought he was at Borussia Dortmund. Because at Dortmund, I thought he was more of this eight, this box-to-box midfielder. This maybe will get you a goal here and there, someone who kind of just dominates midfield and kind of just controls the tempo of the game. And that's the type of person I thought he was, right? But then when he comes to Real Madrid, and I'm seeing a lot more of, like, yes, he still has that in his game, but there's still more to his game. Like the fact that the dribbling is there, the physicality is amazing. The way, especially this season, the way, in that final third, he is lethal. He is dangerous in that final third. This is aspects of his game that I didn't even realize that he had when he was still at Dortmund. But I'm looking at Phil Foden. And this again might be a controversial shout, but me personally, I think maybe bar like someone like Wayne Rooney, like, because we see what he's done. But I think after that, I think Phil Foden is the greatest English talent that this country has been able to produce since that. Honestly speaking, because we have seen the ability that Phil Foden has had from the moment he broke through up till now. We've seen what he's done. And even this season, I am looking at, because I've been watching these two very frequently, like this season, right? I've been watching what they be doing on the pitch, the things they be doing and everything. I'm watching both of them, and in my head, I just can't get out the idea that Phil Foden is just a better player for me. Like the way he just dictates the game, the way he be moving on the pitch, the pockets of space that he be picking up, the chances that he creates, the amount of chances he's creating, the distribution, the passes and everything. I just looking at these things. Like, don't get me wrong, again, Jude Bellingham has this. He is doing this too. Like, it's not like I'm not saying, like I'm saying, it's very fine margins what's separating these two players for me this season. But it's insane, man. I genuinely think that Phil Foden is just better. And it's not by much, this season in particular, it's not by much. But I just feel like Phil Foden is just a better player. And going off of that, I personally think that Phil Foden should be starting in that number 10 position for England, and Jude Bellingham in the 8 with Declan as a 6. Now, obviously, people are now going to start looking at me being like, that's crazy. How can you even say that? How can you even think that? But I genuinely do think that that's how it should be. I think that Phil Foden should be starting in the team just simply because I think England already has enough firepower up top for people to be scoring goals, where I think they just need someone to be in that midfield, the creative force. And I think Phil Foden is just a much better creator than Jude Bellingham is, because I think Jude Bellingham, obviously, not to say that he doesn't know how to create. Obviously, he's a good creator himself. But I think Phil Foden just offers a much better variety as a number 10 than Jude Bellingham does, me personally. And again, I think it's very fine margins that separate these two players this season, because I think when you look at the seasons they're having, right? Again, I've already mentioned the numbers, but I think you can comfortably say that Jude Bellingham is Real Madrid's best player this season. I personally think you can even comfortably say that Phil Foden is Manchester City's best player this season, probably even the best player in the league. You look at the competitions that they're still in, like Jude Bellingham is obviously competing for La Liga, obviously competing for Champions League, and then will compete for the Euros. The same thing with Phil Foden, obviously competing for, still in the FA Cup, still in the title race for the Premier League, and obviously still in the Champions League. Like, see what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy to see that just if that one game between them of Manchester City versus Real Madrid, right? Where that one game will dictate so much for this, which individual's season, right? I don't know what I'm trying to say, but yeah, that game of Real Madrid versus Man City will dictate the other person's season. Because if they go on and they win all those competitions, like if Phil Foden was to win the Premier League, Champions League, and the Euros, I think I think Phil Foden has a much bigger shot of winning the Ballon d'Or than Jude Bellingham this season. But then if it's the other way around, if I think that Jude Bellingham wins those competitions of La Liga, Champions League, and the Euros, then I think Jude Bellingham has that shout, right? That's just the situation that it is. It's very fine margins. The competitions they win now, I think will dictate how the season will flow for each one of them, right? But as I'm looking at from current situation, from the current baseline, without even entering like those two legs against one another, I generally think Phil Foden is just a much better player. We've known this for so many years. For so many years, we've known that Phil Foden is an unbelievable talent. And obviously, people have always questioned whether he'll live up to it because of the way that Guardiola had used Phil Foden over the years, right? Obviously, just using him as a bit part player, sometimes you play on the right, play on the left, maybe in that false nine, getting a few minutes. But then as seasons went on, you see the progression of his career, the progression of his ability, the more he's more implemented into the team, the more minutes he starts playing, then he starts playing full game, then he's starting games, then he's starting to give good performances, then he's starting to come up in big games, and then it's all been leading up to this season where now he's literally the main man, right? It's just that it's been a much slower process into it, but then we know what he possessed, and now we know what he is. With Jude, it's kind of been a situation where his development was a lot more different compared to Phil, in terms of he was kind of just put out there and he was starting from day one. Because obviously we saw what he did at Birmingham, where his jersey even got retired, and then he went to Borussia Dortmund. There he was again just starting games a week in, week out, and we watched him more on a consistent basis because of the fact that he was just starting more games at an early age up till now and still starting games. I think the development of the two players is very different, obviously, and that's why maybe some people will look towards Jude a bit more than Phil Foden. But I look at the ability, because sometimes just trust your eyes. Trust your eyes. Trust what you see on the pitch. Look at what they're doing on the pitch. Whether they're not scoring goals or assisting, but just what they're doing as midfield players. And for me personally, I have to give it to Foden. I'm sorry if anyone thinks I'm being biased or anything like that, it's fine. You can say that. But for me personally, when I look at the two players, I think that's what I see. I think Phil Foden is better than Jude Bellingham. And if you think I'm crazy, that's fine by me. That's fine. Then debate about it. We can debate about it. But I'm looking at the ability of both players, and I think Phil Foden is just a bit more clear of Jude Bellingham. I think Phil Foden is just I think he's the greatest talent that England has been able to produce. It is the one I have watched with my own two eyes. I think Phil Foden is the greatest English talent that's been produced. And obviously, like I said, they're very young players. Anything can happen in the next 6 to 7 years. Foden may even fall off next season, and Jude Bellingham may 5 Ballon d'Ors in a row. Anything's possible. But as I'm looking at it right now, currently as things stand, I think Phil Foden's a much better player. And hey, if you guys disagree with me, that's fine. We can comment down below what you guys think. That man, just comment down below. Tell me your thoughts. I'm here to debate everything. That's just how it is. You know, that's just the love of the game. That's how it is, right? So comment down below what you guys think. You know, like this video. You know what I'm saying? Hit that bell for any post notifications. Subscribe to the channel. And yeah, man, we out.